And tattoos being permanent offer a couple of things. And first of all, because it is a mark of rebellion, it is a constant reminder of your rebellion. Here's how it works. You put the mark of rebellion on your body. Every time you look at it and you partake of it, it takes you back to the state of mind that you were in when you received it, which we already told you was a state of rebellion. So here you are in church on Saturday, and by the way, there are people here today that have tattoos on. Now, let me give you my disclaimer. I'm not here to talk about anybody with tattoos. I'm not here to judge or condemn anyone, okay? My job is simply this. A lot of people have tattoos because they weren't told. My job is to bring the information. That is it. After that, the rest of it is in the hands of the Lord. So I'm not here to condemn anyone, but we will talk about these tattoos. Every time you look at the mark of rebellion, you go back to the state of mind that you were in when you received the tattoo, which was rebellion. Now here goes the problem. When you go to church on Saturday and you're trying to be elevated spiritually, you're being held down carnally like this, so that you cannot be lifted up spiritually because the constant rebellion, you're being reminded of it. Wow. See, the devil makes it always easy to go into something, and he doesn't explain the real reasons why. But once you get in it, it is extremely hard to come out of it. So, it being permanent is a constant reminder of the rebellion that you were in when you received it. As we discussed last night, fads and styles change. What I did last night, I showed you some of the fads of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And we sat here and we laughed at them because they're funny nowadays. But when we were doing them, the ones that will admit that they're old, when we were doing them, they weren't funny at all. We was keeping up with everyone else. And I bring that out simply because at some point in time, as much money as they're making putting those tattoos on, they're going to make as much money, if not more, to have them removed. Because it is only a fad. And it doesn't last. It doesn't, the way it looks now is not how it's going to look 20 years from now. Whoever you are now, you're not going to be the same person 20 years from now. So when you do something permanent to your body, you're not permanent. The next one. As you and I experience life, and I just went over that one, we change. We'll go to the next one. It can cause irreversible physical damage. We went over that last night. We showed you the different diseases that are caused from receiving tattoos. We questioned the credibility of the tattoo artists themselves. They don't look like somebody that should have access to the inside of your body. If you ever pass a tattoo parlor, it looks like they're saving money on rent. Because it's always in somebody's basement in some dirty looking dingy place. Now he's already telling me that he's trying to save money. So when he's sticking me with that needle, and for those of you who wasn't here last night, it's 3,000 puncture wounds per minute. So while he's puncturing my skin and I'm giving up a sacrifice, I'm bleeding for it, and he decides that he wants to save money, so he sets the needle down and he wipes it, and for the next person, he continues the process. Now, I know, it's only, matter of fact, to get a license to be a tattoo artist is only sitting in class for 40 hours, paying your money, and you're a licensed tattoo artist. It doesn't sound like he should have access to the insides of my body. A tattoo sets a placeholder. At nighttime when I'm reading a book and I get tired, I put a placeholder in that page. And I put a placeholder in that page because the next time I pick up that book, I want to take off where I left off. Well, that's what a tattoo does to you so far as carnally. It holds you at that place where you are. It is hard to move ahead once again when you're being reminded constantly of your past. So a tattoo actually does that on a permanent basis. And as we discussed last night, symbols have meanings and purposes in the spiritual realm. You have to understand something. God, we have a physical being, and I have an identical spiritual being. Anything that I change physically on this physical body, it will be changed. A change takes place in the spiritual realm. Anything, listen to this, that happens in the spiritual realm also changes the physical realm. That's why you come to church. You come to church to receive a spiritual blessing. When you receive a spiritual blessing, it is reflected in the fruit that you bear by what you do with your physical being. So we can easily reverse it. Anything, a tattoo mark that I put on my physical being, a rebellious mark, is now a rebellious mark on my spiritual being. And we don't connect, we don't communicate directly with God. We're supposed to worship Him in what? In spirit, in truth. So I need my spirit to communicate to His spirit in order to worship. But if I have rebellious marks on me, you better believe they're getting in the way. Because if I have a rebellious mark, that rebellious mark gives ownership to the chief of rebellion.